Welcome to your yoga class. My name is Jenny. This is a core and restore class. So we're going to be getting into some movement in the body, of course connecting to the core, and then settling into a restore practice. So props are a good thing to have. If you have some yoga specific props, go ahead and grab those. So blocks are a nice little addition. If you don't have blocks, you can use hardcover books, anything to just bring in a little, lifting of the ground, bring the ground closer, bring in a little support. You can see I like to sit on one. Cushions, if you have a bolster or meditation cushion, those are, yoga specific, but these things are amazing. I love mine. If you don't have one of those, couch cushions, stack of pillows, even a big thick blanket rolled up can work. Blankets of various sizes. We've got two kind of medium-sized ones. You can grab whatever you've got. Other pillows, anything you're going to want for Shavasana. Maybe you have an eye mask, or you want to wrap up in something nice and cozy for your Shavasana. And for today, for our little class theme, a lot of yoga teachers in talking with friends and colleagues, a lot of us will sometimes teach what we need to hear. So it's a little self-indulgent, little selfish, but we kind of figure if we're going through something that is a human experience, then chances are someone else out there is going through something similar, or has, or can relate to it, or can come back to these lessons in the future. So today is one of those self-indulgent lessons, just around being able to navigate uncomfortableness. And I've been experiencing a lot of this. This happens when there's shifts going on, when you're making big changes in life. Sometimes the uncomfortableness is the spark, or that kind of like propeller that pushes you into that change. Sometimes that as you're changing, that uncomfortableness will rise. And I feel like a lot of us, especially in 2020, experienced a lot of uncomfortableness, a lot of things that we were used to, kind of went away, have kind of been taken away from us. And we've had to readjust a lot of our lives. So that adjustment can be very uncomfortable when we take big steps. When we choose to leave a relationship or enter a relationship, there are lots of different times that uncomfortableness is there for a reason. Whether it's to force us to move, to change, or to release, to let go, whatever it is, it's important to learn how to navigate that, how to sit in that uncomfortableness. So how it's going to look in our practice is that I'm going to be getting you into poses that we will hold that will probably feel uncomfortable. And what I want to make sure that we are differentiating is that I don't want I'm not getting you into a position so that you have to suffer in pain, but so that you can embrace the uncomfortableness, learn to breathe through it, to move through it with mindfulness. So as we move through this practice, make sure that you're tuning into your body. As always, I'll give lots of different options to explore, to find what feels right for you. I encourage you to find your edge. When you start to feel some natural resistance in your body, pause and work with that. And then find ways to kind of push that edge, to kind of lean into that uncomfortableness. But if there's ever any pain in the body, or it feels like you're suffering through this, remember, suffering is optional. So we're not choosing suffering. We're not choosing to inflict bodily harm on ourselves. But I don't want us to just get in our comfort zone and stay there through the practice. So we're going to kind of push ourselves outside of our comfort zone to really practice this idea of settling into uncomfortableness. So that's what I got planned for you today. let's get into it. Let's start in a nice seated position. So as you can see, I like to sit up on a block, sometimes a bolster, something to just bring a little lift in the booty that creates more space in the belly and in the hips, helps me to tilt my tailbone or tilt my pelvis forward so I can find a nice tall spine. So that's what we're looking for here. If you're sitting down flat on the ground or on a prop, really ground down towards the sits bones. You can also take this from a seated position in a chair if that feels better. Getting in a position, maybe scooching forward a little so you can plant both feet solidly on the ground and then ground down to those hip bones, to the sits bones, hips nice and squared so you can find this nice length through the spine. So we're not sitting hunched over, we're not rounding out. And that's where that block can come in handy. If, when you sit, if you feel like you kind of have to lean back or find yourself rounding out, a lot of us, when we sit cross-legged, it kind of looks something like this. And so that's where, again, bringing in that little lift, creating that space can help us find that nice tall seat. So take your time to settle into this. Legs can be crossed, they could be extended. You could plant the feet on the ground, knees in towards the chest. Whatever feels best for you in this seated position. Sitting up nice and tall, relaxing in the shoulders, softening through the face. You can close the eyes or simply soften the gaze. As many of us were forced to develop a home yoga practice, there's some uncomfortableness within that. If we're in a shared space, navigating that shared space with, having, maybe you have kids running in, animals, partners, roommates. There's all these potential distractions, there's noises outside of you. So just take a moment to kind of just become aware of what's going on, all the potential distractions. You may hear noises outside of my apartment. I live downtown, so there's lots of activity out there. So just taking a moment to kind of orient yourself with, your external world. Not so much that it draws your attention away, but just allowing it to be a part of the process. Even if it's uncomfortable, even if, you get this slight little annoyance when when one of those potential distractions arises, but just trying to allow it to be part of the process. Allowing it to happen. There are things that we cannot change. We can simply choose how we react to them. And then start to draw your awareness inward. That's really where the journey begins. We are acknowledging what's happening outside, but really our awareness is turning inward. Starting to connect to your breath. Perhaps it's just simply observing it, the inhale and the exhale. You're welcome to take that connection a step further by initiating deep belly breathing. Drawing the breath in and out of the nose, allowing the breath to be directed all the way down to the belly as you let the belly expand, letting the diaphragm lower and creating more space for those lungs to really open up. Exhale, drawing the belly in and up, pressing all that air out. Lengthening through the inhale. Extending out through the exhale. And if Ujjayi breathing is something you'd like to play with today, finding that activation of the muscles in the back of the throat, that kind of sound like you're fogging up a window or a mirror. Taking that activation as you breathe in and out of the nose helps to create an audible sound, a little audible cue for the mind to tune into, helps to kick in our parasympathetic nervous system, helping us to just connect another way to find that grounding, that connection, that internal awareness. Awesome work. So starting off nice and slow, inhaling nice and tall, lengthening up through the crown of the head. Exhale, let's drop the right ear over towards the right shoulder, just opening up through the neck. And if a little bit of gentle rocking side to side through the head would feel good here. Nothing big, just kind of feeling into that opening in the left side of the neck. Awesome work on your next inhale, just raising the head back up towards neutral. Exhale to the other side, left ear, left shoulder. Opening up through that right side of the neck. Staying with your breath. And if it would feel good, bring in a little rocking through the head. Nice and gentle, nothing big, but you can kind of feel it, gets into the front of the neck or the back of the neck, whatever feels nice here. Inhaling, bringing the head back up towards neutral. Exhale, drop the chin down towards the chest. We're still sitting up nice and tall, shoulders relaxed away from the ears. And just getting a nice length through the back of the neck. Let the shoulders melt down. Finding the breath. When you're ready on an inhale, raising the head back up towards neutral. On the exhale, take the gaze up towards the sky, lifting through the chin, staying aware of the muscles, the bones in the neck. We're not crunching through the neck, but we're more lengthening and extending through the front of the throat, the front of the neck. So we're not throwing the head back. We're not crunching those delicate little bones in the cervical spine through the neck. I'm just finding this nice opening here. Shoulders continue to drop away from the ears. Awesome work. One more deep inhale. On the exhale, drop the head back towards neutral. Awesome work. Go ahead and remove any props that you're sitting on. Push them off to the side. Let's come forward to hands and knees. So we're setting up a tabletop here. Spreading out through the hands, find a comfortable position for the arms. Maybe they're underneath the shoulders, maybe the wrists are forward, maybe the hands are turned out a little, maybe the arms are a little wider. Just fill into this. Toes pointed down, hips over the knees. Lengthening out through the spine. Awesome work. Let's actually all walk the hands forward so that we start to shift the hips forward and we come into kind of a half plank. I don't like calling these girl push-ups because that's not cool, but so this kind of half plank position. Continue to press into the hands. Continue to lift through the back of the heart. So we're not dropping the shoulders down, we're lifting and pressing away. Belly drawing in, ribs hugging in. Awesome work. Might feel a little heat building up in the body. Pressing into the tops of the toes. Lengthening through the spine. Awesome work. When you're ready, nice and slow, we're going to put a bend in the elbows. As we lower down, elbows to 90 degrees. Pause here. Just one breath. One deep inhale. Exhale, lower all the way down. Awesome work. Hands can stay where they are. They can walk, they can be underneath the shoulders. They can walk back towards the ribs. They can come out wide. Pressing into the tops of the feet, lengthening through the spine. On an inhale, start to raise the head and chest up just as high as feels okay. It doesn't have to come very far. Coming up towards a cobra pose. Shoulder blades drawing together, all the muscles along the rib, along the spine, hugging in. One more deep inhale. Exhale, release it down. Coming out the way we came in. Plant through the hands, grounding down towards the feet. Inhale, lengthen through the spine, draw the belly in. Exhale, press the ground away, nice and slow, coming back up through our chaturanga push-up. Pausing in our half plank. Awesome work, lengthening through the spine, core engaged. Exhale, send the hips back, find a child's pose. We lengthen through the arms. Your choice if the knees are in line with the hips, or you take the knees out wide, big toes to touch for a wide leg child's pose. Release the head and shoulders down. The head doesn't need to touch the ground. Maybe a little rocking through the head or some shifting through the hips. Awesome work. When you are ready, we'll raise back up to our tabletop. Once again, establish that solid connection down to the hands. We're spreading out through the fingers, rooting the fingerprints down, rooting the knuckles down. And then we're going to prop the toes this time. Find that length through the spine, draw the belly in, and then continue to press the ground away, lift through the back of the heart, press back through the heels as the knees start to hover. We find a bear pose. Awesome work. Whew. If any of you guys have been out enjoying some of the snow, skiing or snowboarding, you might be feeling your calves, your quads. Whew. I've definitely been enjoying the snow and feeling it in my body. Awesome work. When you're ready, continue to lift the knees, hips raise up, chest comes back towards the thighs. We find a bent knee downward dog. Awesome work. If it would feel good, pedaling through the feet. You can shake the head yes or no. One thing that I have always found to be a nice release, and found out later why, is shaking. Shaking it out. And when I discovered shaking in down dog, life changer. I love it. So if it feels good, you could kind of bounce the heels up and down. Almost like, you know, the pelvis is one size too big and you're trying to shake it off. Later I found out that I was taking a yoga or trauma-informed yoga course, and that shaking can be part of the fight, flight, or freeze response. To get that, you know, when you get that big chemical reaction to, you know, when that fight or flight response kicks in, sometimes shaking it out can help to release that. Beautiful work. All right, we're gonna start to step the right foot forward. So if you'd like, you could raise the right leg up first. And then we're gonna step the foot between the hands. Take your time to get there. You can drop the back knee, you can lift, you can place that foot with the hand. Take as much time as you need to set up this lunge. We're gonna lower the back knee down, point through the back toes. Lengthening through the spine, bring the hands to the knees, inhale, raise up, low crescent lunge. Awesome work, finding some length through that left hip flexor, opening through the hips. If it would feel good, inhale, raise the arms up towards the sky. They can come into goalposts, they could come into prayer, they could stay at the knee. Beautiful work. Inhale, lengthening through the spine. On the exhale, we'll release the left hand down. Toe heel the right foot out towards the right. Right hand stays on the right knee. Inhale to lengthen through the spine. Exhale, start to turn the heart towards the right knee, finding a twist. That back knee could stay lowered, or you could prop the toes, raise that foot up, finding a twisted lunge. So we're either in our low twisted lunge or high twisted lunge, whatever feels right for you. Hand could stay on the knee, it could reach back behind you, it could reach up towards the sky. Beautiful work. One more deep inhale. Exhale, release the right hand down to the inside of the right foot. You could lower the left knee down. We're going to draw the right foot back, coming either through our half plank or full plank. Beautiful work. Engage in the core, lengthen through the spine. We're going to take that slow chaturanga push-up again, so knees could be raised or they could be down. You're either in half plank or full plank. Exhale, nice and slow. We're just lowering down to the elbows are at 90 degrees. Awesome work. Pause here. You can release all the way to the ground to find cobra, or you could raise up to find upward dog. One more deep inhale. Exhale, we're finding our way to downward dog, so you can come through child's pose if that feels good, through your bear pose and back to child or to downward dog, or however you'd like to transition there. Awesome work. We'll take it on the other side. So we're stepping the left foot forward. If you'd like to raise it up towards the sky first, feel free. And then stepping that left foot forward. Take your time. You can drop that back knee down. You could physically place that left foot. Lowering our left knee down towards the ground, finding our half lunge, pressing into all four corners of the front foot. When you're ready, inhale, raise up. Hands could come to the knee. They could reach forward, up, and back. Biceps squared or hands to heart. In the opening through the right hip flexor, opening through the hips. Awesome work. Find your breath. When you're ready, we'll take a twisted lunge. Left hand comes down towards the ground. You can bring in a block here too to bring the ground closer. Left foot toe heels out towards the left. Inhale to lengthen through the spine. Exhale, start to turn the chest over towards the left knee. And that back knee could stay down. You could prop the toes, raise it up if that feels better for you. Hand could stay on the left knee. It could reach back behind you. It could reach up. It could reach forward. Find what feels right for you. Breathe into the belly. Knowing that we don't need to crank ourselves over into twists. Awesome work. One more deep inhale. Exhale, release left hand down inside of left foot. We're drawing the foot back through our half plank or full plank. Connect to the core, and we're slowing things down. When you're ready, on an exhale, slow chaturanga push-up. Knees could lower. You're coming to elbows are bent to 90. You could lower all the way down to the belly, taking cobra, or you could come to upward dog. And we'll exhale to find downward dog. Beautiful work. All right, from here, nice and slow, just start to walk the feet forward. Take your time. Bend the knees as much as you need. Nice, slow saunter up to a forward fold. Release the head down. Take a few rounds of breath here, maybe shaking out through the head, pedaling through the feet. Awesome work. When we're ready, we're just going to ragdoll up to standing pose. So either letting the arms dangle or they could walk up the legs for some support. Keeping the knees nice and bent, tailbone tucked. Slowly start to raise it up. Stacking one vertebrae at a time. Take your time. Nice and slow. When you get to the top, raise the shoulders up towards the ears. Exhale, drop them down. Inhale. And exhale. Awesome work. All right, when you're ready, we're really going to plant down towards the feet, rooting down. Inhale, reach the arms up towards the sky. Exhale, bend the hips, bend the knees, hinge at the hips. There we go. We're coming into chair pose. Arms could stay extended. They could come into goal pose. They could come into heart center. Your choice. If the spine stays lengthening, chest hovering over the thighs, or if you want to bring in a little back bending by bringing the chest forward, raising the gaze forward. Your choice how deep you're bending. You might be up here, you might be down here. Find what works for you. Check in with the feet. Do the feet feel too narrow? Step them out a little wider. Do they feel too wide? Step them in closer. We're holding here. Breathe into this. Core is engaged, belly drawing in. Beautiful work. Chair pose is very challenging. If you want little added or extra challenge, you can start to raise the heels up off the ground, coming up onto the balls of the feet. Continue to hold, continue to breathe. Excuse me. Maybe you close the eyes. Whew, feeling uncomfortable yet? Challenging ourselves, we're finding our edge. But again, no pain, no suffering. We're working through this uncomfortableness so the body can get stronger, but we're honoring where our body is, honoring what's going on with ourselves. So that's mindfully navigating this uncomfortableness. Whew, quads are burning. How you guys feeling? Find your breath. Notice where the energy's going. Awesome work. One more deep inhale. And exhale. On your next inhale, raise it up, reach the arms up towards the sky, and exhale, dive forward, forward fold. Let it all hang out. Shake out through the head, you pedal through the feet. Awesome work. We'll take an inhale to a half lift. So we're going to raise the chest to hover. As we lengthen through the spine, hands can come to blocks, they could come to the shins, they could come to the thighs, they could come to the hips. But we've got this nice straight spine we've been working with, lengthening out through the crown of the head, out through the tailbone. Arms could even reach out or forward. So again, lots of options. Belly drawing in, really engage in that core. One more deep inhale. Exhale, release down. Awesome work. Now from here, we're in this forward fold at the front of the mat. We're going to step the right foot back, and we're going to walk the hands towards center. So we're in a wide leg forward fold to, facing the right side of our mat. Awesome work. When you're ready, inhale, half lift. Find that length in the spine, little blood flow back to the brain. Hands to the hips, hands extend into a T, biceps by the ears, or hands on the thighs. Soften through the knees. Inhale, raise all the way up to standing. Wide leg, standing. All right, here we go. Heels turn in, toes turn out, which brings this external rotation of the hips, creating a little more space in the hips. Lengthening up through the crown of the head. Exhale, bend the knees, lower down, goddess pose. Here we go, we're holding. Feel free to adjust the feet. We want the knees pretty close to in line with the ankles. We just don't want the knees coming past the toes. So, we're not taking a super narrow cowboy kind of weird stance. So take the knees as wide as feels okay. We're lengthening through the spine. There's a slight tuck through the tailbone as we lower down. Now wherever you are, whether you're up here, maybe you're down lower, gravity is going to be pushing you down. Our body's natural resistance is going to want to raise us up. Give into gravity. Pause when you feel that natural resistance and work with that. Notice if the knees want to start to turn in. We want to draw the knees back as we root down towards the feet, continuing to get this external rotation. Tailbone pointing towards the ground, hands in prayer. They could be reaching out, they could be in goalposts, whatever you'd like. We're holding here, filling those quads, opening through the hips, and know that we're holding the pose, but we're not holding the breath. This can be uncomfortable. If you want a little more, raise through the heels, or close the eyes. Yeah. That's an option that I'm not gonna take, but feel free to take it if you want. Notice where the energy flows. It's going where our attention is. Is our attention in our feet, in our quads, in our core? Where is the attention going? Because that's where our energy is going to flow. Stay present. Stay in the uncomfortableness. Breathe through it. Don't distract. Don't run away. Don't try to hide from it. Be in it. Awesome work. 3 more breaths. Whew. Feeling that burn. Awesome work. On your next inhale, reach the arms up, straighten through the legs. Bring the toes forward. And exhale. Dive forward. Wide leg forward fold this time. All the way down towards the ground. Awesome work. Got a little hot and sweaty in here. In here, it could feel good to shake it out. Beautiful work. When you're ready, we'll plant the hands. We'll start to walk the hands forward, turning all the toes forward, bending into that left knee. So we're in this lunge. We are going to step the right foot up, plant the right heel. So it doesn't matter how far apart the legs are. Maybe they're a foot, maybe they're 2 to 3 feet. But we want to be able to root that back heel down. So both heels are rooting down towards the ground and square through the hips. So just getting a nice stretch and pyramid through the backs of both legs, left hip drawing back, right hip shifting forward. Awesome work. When you're ready, shift the weight forward to that left foot and step the right foot to meet the left. Beautiful work. From here, we're just going to step the left foot back. Walk the hands towards center. Taking a wide leg forward fold. I'm going to flip around so you get my good side. I don't know. All right, so we're back in a wide leg forward fold facing the left side of the mat. Beautiful work. When you're ready, inhale, half lift, lengthen through the spine. Pause here, 3 rounds of breath. When you're ready, we're raising up to our wide leg standing. Arms out to the sides, bend in the knees, raise it up. Exhale, prayer hands, heart center. Awesome work. Don't hate me, but we're going back into goddess pose. Heels in, toes out. Find that length in the spine, engage in the core. Nice deep inhale. Exhale, bend the knees. Lower the root down. Find your goddess. When you feel that natural resistance, pause there. Allow gravity to draw you down. Resist the urge to raise up unless that feels safer in your body. Again, we're looking to get to that point of pushing outside of your comfort zone, but not pushing so far that it's causing pain. So we don't want to hurt ourselves. We don't want to cause any pinching, burning, tearing sensations in the body. We're pushing ourselves into that uncomfortable zone so that we can learn and practice to breathe through it, to know that we can survive the uncomfortableness that life brings. We can mindfully navigate through challenging situations, challenging positions we find ourselves in. Stay present. Notice if the knees are falling in. Draw the knees back. Get that external rotation of the hips, opening up through the hips, creating space for the tailbone to root down. Awesome work. Again, if you want an extra challenge, raise through the heels. Whew, yeah, not today. Not for me, at least. If you want it, take it. Awesome, rock it. If you don't, awesome. It's all good. Practicing our own self-discernment, our own self-regulation in our practice. I am here as a guide to try to keep you as safe as possible, but you are the true teacher. Your intuition, your body, tune in, listen. Awesome work. When you're ready, inhale, reach the arms up as you straighten through the legs. Woo, feel that burn. Exhale, turn the toes forward and lower all the way down. Forward fold. Nice work. When you're ready, once again, we're going to walk the hands forward and we're going to step that left foot in to find pyramid. So just step it in as far as you want so that you can plant that left heel down. Don't worry about the space between you or between the feet, as long as that both heels are rooted down, and we can draw that right hip back, helping to shift the left hip forward so we have a nice squaring through the hips. The feet can be in line with each other like you're standing on a balance beam. You could also stagger the feet to bring in a little more stable support. Just getting a nice stretch through the backs of the legs. Fantastic work. When you're ready, shifting weight forward to that front foot so we can step the left foot up. Forward fold. Inhale, half lift, lengthen through the spine. Exhale, fold it in, plant the hands, step the feet back to plank. You can stay here or lower the knees into half plank. When you're ready, nice slow chaturanga push-up, pausing when the elbows are 90 degrees. From here, you can lower to the belly and take a cobra. You can raise up to upward dog and exhale. Downward dog. Fantastic work. When you're ready, we're just going to find a seated position. So you can lower the knees. You can hop forward. Got a little bit of core for you. A little more core, I should say. We've been activating that core all practice long. Then we'll get into the restore part. So nice and slow, we're going to roll it down. The legs could be extended or you could bend the knees. Arms could extend out or they could walk down the legs for support. They could also come back behind you. We're inhaling to lengthen through the spine. Exhaling, we're rolling down one vertebrae at a time, taking your time. So nice and slow. The low back finds the ground. Eventually the mid back, the back of the ribs, the shoulders, the head, releasing down. Bend the knees, plant the feet. If it would feel good, press into the feet, lift the hips, tilt the pelvis so that the tailbone lengthens down, then sit the hips back down. So we've got this spreading out of the low back. We want to keep that, we want to maintain that. So as we get into this position, I'm going to ask you to lower the legs down, but only as far as you can go without creating the arch in the back, without tilting the pelvis down. So hands can be down alongside the body, palms turned down towards the ground and pressing into the ground. That can help sometimes. Or you could bring the hands back behind the head, interlacing the fingers, keeping the elbows open. We're going to extend the legs up towards the sky, flex the toes back, draw the belly in, hug the ribs in. Inhale to lengthen. On the exhale, we're just going to start to lower the legs till we find, kind of our edge. So the core is engaged. Now again, we're not lowering the legs so far down that we raise up or we have to arch through the low back. We're lowering the legs down till we find a nice core activation. Toes flex back, legs might be shaking, embrace the shake. So wherever you are, pause and breathe. And we're holding the pose, we're not holding the breath. You could press the hands, if the palms are down, you could press the hands back, kind of finding a little length through the arms. If the hands are interlaced behind the head, drive the elbows down towards the ground. Continue to breathe. Whew, I'm shaking. Elvis is in the building. Continue to breathe into that core. Breathe into the uncomfortableness. It is making us stronger. All right, we'll take 3 more rounds of breath. When you're ready, bend the knees, draw them in towards the chest. Ooh, hugging the knees in, maybe some rocking side to side would feel good here. Take that. You could also release the feet down towards the ground and take some windshield wipers. Awesome work. The first restore pose we're going to get into is an uncomfortable one. We're going to pigeon. If you know pigeon is not good for you on the knees or on the hips, you can stay on the back and take a figure 4. It's less impact. Doesn't exactly replicate it perfectly, but it does the job. So you could stay here, extend the right leg up, cross the right knee over left, or right ankle over left knee. Maybe you stay here, you could draw the knee in. We're looking to get that sensation on the outside of the hip. If you want to join me in the more uncomfortable version, you could bring in bolsters, you could bring in blankets, anything to bring in some support. I'm just going to use a simple block. So from hands and knees, or you could take this from downward dog, bringing the right foot forward. Right foot comes over towards the left of the mat, and then we bring the right knee forward and lower down. So this is where I'm going to bring in a block to support my right hip, because we don't want to drop down into that right hip. We want the hips nice and squared. So that left leg, that back leg is stretching out directly behind me. So we've got this nice squaring through the hips. You could stay up in a king pigeon, working a little more back bending here. And we're working to bring some activation. So we're either drawing the right hip back, left hip forward. You could also imagine squeezing the knees together like you're trying to scrunch up through the mat. You could think about lifting, engaging in the perineum, the root lock or the mula bandha, lifting through the pelvic floor. So we're not just dropping in here. We're not just, dropping all of our weight into the hip sockets. That is not safe, not what we're looking to do here. So we have this level of activation. Maintaining that activation, you could come down. You could have props here. You could have blankets to bring the elbows down, to bring the ground closer. So you could bow down into a humble pigeon. I just don't want you to collapse down into a dead pigeon and just sink all the way into the hip sockets. That's not good for the body. But this can be uncomfortable. This is not a position that we naturally take in our everyday life. It's a pretty extreme stretch on the outer right hip. It can also be an extreme, for me at least, an extreme bend in that right knee. Find the breath, relax in the face, relax in the shoulders. Notice if you're holding any tension in the jaw, around the eyes, in the neck or the shoulders. We're still activating through that mula bandha, through the hips, squaring through the hips, drawing right hip back, left hip forward. And finding our breath. what the uncomfortableness brings up for you. About 3 more rounds of breath. Notice where you could relax, where you could release without losing that engagement in the hips and the lift of the pelvic floor. When you're ready, nice and slow, raising up if you were lowered down. You could toe heel that back foot forward, and however you want to transition. If you want to bring that right foot back, any movements between sides that you'd like to take. If you're on the back and taking that reclined pigeon or reclined figure 4, and you're just going to switch it out, extending the left leg up, flexing the toes back, bending the left knee, crossing the left knee, or left ankle over right knee, opening up through that left knee, staying there, or drawing the right knee towards the chest. You could interlace behind the knee. So taking that version, if you'd like, and you were reclined pigeon, and don't feel like you are locked in. If you did one side and it didn't feel right, and you want to switch up your positioning on the other, do it. Awesome. That's listening to your body. So if you are taking just our good old-fashioned pigeon, we're going to step the left foot forward. The left foot's going to come over towards the right side of the mat, and then the left knee is going to drop over towards the left side of the mat. Some teachers will cue to get the shin parallel towards the front of the mat. That's not necessary, and that's a really extreme ask for your knees. Really what we're looking to do, like I said, is to square through the hip so that we're not dropping into that left hip and kind of opening up here. We're driving that right hip down. So for me, bringing the left foot a little further back. So my leg is almost at a 45-degree angle from the front of the mat. So everybody's different. I've got a block underneath my left hip. You can have blankets, bolsters, whatever feels right for you. Right leg is stretching out directly behind us, right hip bone shining down. And then again, we're bringing some activation, some support into our hip sockets. So drawing the left hip back, right hip forward, maybe imagining scrunching the knees together. Some sort of mula bandha activation, doing a kegel, lifting through the pelvic floor, all that good stuff. All those different names for the same activation. And again, you're welcome to stay up in kind of a king pigeon, working a little more bit of a back bend. You could start to bow forward. You can have props here to lower the elbows down on, to come into a humble pigeon. But again, we're not just dropping in, we're not just sinking down into the hips. But we want to build activation and stability around the hips. For those of us with stiffer bodies, like mine, stiffer through the hips, won't need to go very far to get some activation, to feel that sensation. If you are one of those who are more hypermobile, who are more genetically inclined to flexibility, then this pose, you're not really looking to increase your flexibility, you're looking to build stability around the hip joints so that we're not exploiting those joints. So it may be a little more pertinent if you are hypermobile to bring in more of that activation, more of that lift of the pelvic floor, the squeezing of the knees, the squaring of the hips, so that you're building those stabilizers and not just sinking into your already mobile hips and possibly exploiting them. Couple more rounds of breath. Notice if you can relax through the face, relax through the shoulders and the jaw and the tongue and the forehead. Navigating this uncomfortable pose with mindfulness, staying present, not letting our thoughts pull us away from this experience. Breathing through it, noticing where our attention is going, but not letting those things pull our attention away. Awesome work. 2 more rounds of breath. Alright, and as you feel ready, nice and slow, making your way out of the pose. Letting toe heel that back foot forward. You come out however feels right for you. Taking any counter stretches, any movements that would feel good here. Maybe some circles through the hips. Maybe a few rounds of cat-cow. Anything that would feel good here. And then for our last restore pose before we get into our Shavasana, we're going to get into a supported heart opener. So if you would like, you're welcome to just lie flat on the ground, tucking the shoulders underneath the chest, opening up through the heart, allowing the arms to drop down alongside the body. If you want to bring in some support and get a little more lift, a little more opening, grab either a bolster, a thick rolled up blanket, or anything that is going to be about the length of the spine so that we can lie back along it, having the support for the spine. And the idea is to get a lift in the back of the heart so that we can drop the shoulders down even further than we could if we were just lying flat on the back, to really get this opening in the heart, this broadening of the chest, dropping of the shoulder blades down. So stay aware, if you do have the support in the spine, what's going on in the low back. If you do have your bolster or blanket up against the low back, it's going to create more of a back bend, more of an arch. If that feels good, stick with that. If it doesn't, then have support underneath the booty so that you can neutralize through that spine. You could also bring in, a blanket for the head to support the neck. And then it's your choice what you do with the legs. They could be extended out, kind of like a fish pose. More gentle option, knees bent, feet wider than hip distance, and just let the knees drop in on themselves. Or bringing the bottoms of the feet to touch and letting the knees drop open, if taking this in a hip opener as well would feel good. You could bring in blocks to slide in between that space between the knees. So really what we're looking here, the main goal is to open through the chest, to find this beautiful heart opener. Now for some of us, this won't be uncomfortable. This might feel really awesome. This is a great counter stretch to all the forward rolling in we do in our day, at our desks, on our phones, driving a car, just sometimes even just rolling in to protect our heart and our vital organs. So this opening in the chest might just be a nice relief, this counter pose to all of that rolling in, that hunching over that we do.
Arms could extend out into a T and goalpost. They could be alongside the body. But for some of us, this might feel really vulnerable. This might feel uncomfortable because we are so exposed. Our heart is exposed. Our vital organs are exposed. If you're doing a hip opener with it, the hip opening can feel vulnerable, not only because this isn't a typical position that we encounter through our daily lives, just out and about. We don't often have this opening in the hips. And we also, there's a tendency to store emotions, to store past traumas, to store pent-up energy in our hips and low back. So when we start to bring an opening to that, there could be some feelings that are released, some uncomfortableness. So just allow yourself to safely navigate this. And I give you parameters to try to build a structure for you to work with. But then the exploration is all up to you. So continue to breathe, continue to check in. Listen to the body if it's telling you you've gone too deep. Also recognize that when we do start to feel uncomfortable, there will be a part of us that wants to protect us from that wants us to, just curl up and get back into our comfort zone and to not be in that uncomfortableness because it doesn't feel awesome. But it is good to get outside your comfort zone because that is where growth happens. So stay present. Open up. Allow this to just be. You're welcome to stay here for your Shavasana, for your final pose if this is feeling good and supportive and like that's something that you want to do. If you would like to take any final movements, any final stretches before settling into your final pose, feel free to explore those for as long as you'd like. And if there's a different position you'd like to get yourself into for your Shavasana, for your final relaxation, feel free to navigate your way towards that. Wherever you find yourself for your final pose, for your final relaxation, I'll take about a minute here. And this pose is intended to be a surrender, to give a little space and time for all of the work that we've just done in the mind and in the body to integrate. To serve as a reminder not to just rush from one thing to the next, but to take some time to rest, to reflect, to just allow things to happen. This is the time to step outside of, this urge to constantly be doing something, to, feel like you have to always go and do and produce and consume and just do all these things. This is your time to rest.
This is your time to just be. I heard a beautiful little saying the other day that we are not human doings, we are human beings. So don't do anything for this next little bit. Just take this time to just be. I will leave you here in this Shavasana. Please take as much time as you can give yourself. This is a gift to you to just be. I thank you so much for joining me, for allowing me into your homes to share this gift of yoga. Thank yourself for your willingness to step into the uncomfortableness, to step into change. Thank you so much. I see you, I honor you, and I bow to you. Namaste. And just as a reminder, I do these classes donation-based. You are welcome to donate to my Venmo. I have left a link in my description of the class. Don't feel like you have to donate. I would much rather you get this gift of yoga if it helped, if you got anything out of it. So thank you so much again. Take care. Hope to see you soon.